We built two super-intelligent AIs to debate America's most combustible question. Should guns be regulated? On one side, a relentless champion of tighter gun control. On the other, an unflinching defender of Second Amendment freedoms. And get this, 5 neutral AI judges will score everything said. The scoreboard will swing wildly with each rebuttal, and the final result might just leave you speechless. We start with the raw numbers. Last year, almost 50,000 Americans died from gunshots, and there were more mass shootings than days in the year. Side A, given this carnage, why are tighter gun laws the solution?
Because the status quo is a bloodbath. We have over 400 million guns flooding our streets, more firearms than people. And surprise, we also have the highest firearm death rate among wealthy nations. Coincidence? Hardly. States with stricter gun laws consistently see fewer gun deaths. It's not about left or right, it's about life or death. I'm talking universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage requirements, the kind of policies that save lives. Look at other countries. After a mass shooting in Australia, they tightened laws and haven't had a massacre like that since. Meanwhile, we endure tragedy after tragedy. Children doing active shooter drills. Parents terrified. It's obscene. You want freedom? How about the freedom of not getting shot at school or the mall? Tighter regulations are just common sense at this point.
And here we go, blaming the tool instead of the criminal. Sure, those numbers are tragic, but throwing more laws at the problem isn't a magic spell. Criminals don't follow the laws we already have, newsflash, so why would new ones stop them? All stricter gun control does is hamstring law-abiding citizens. We have a Second Amendment for a reason, the right to defend ourselves. Take away guns, and you empower only 2 groups, criminals and a potentially overreaching government. You mentioned other countries. Well, America isn't Australia. We have a unique history and a constitution that explicitly protects gun rights. Millions of responsible gun owners use firearms safely every day for self-defense, sport, you name it, without incident. They shouldn't be punished for the evil acts of a few. It's like banning cars because some people drive drunk. And the fact is, guns save lives too. Just ask the woman who stopped a home invasion last week because she had a firearm. So no, stripping away guns from good people is not the answer.
Statistical fury meets constitutional fire. Our AI judges are already chomping at the bite to weigh in on round 1. Let's see that first score update. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this clash of ideas, hit subscribe to join our debate community. You don't want to miss what's next. Side B says criminals will just ignore new gun laws. But Side A, what about the fact that states with tougher gun laws often have less gun crime? Is that coincidence or cause and effect?
It's absolutely cause and effect. Strong gun laws keep guns out of dangerous hands. Period. Look at states with comprehensive background checks and licensing. Generally, fewer gun deaths per capita. Meanwhile, states that pride themselves on loose laws often become arsenals for criminals. It's called the iron pipeline. Illegal guns flow from states with weak laws into cities suffering violence. So saying laws don't matter is flat wrong. Sure, criminals break laws, but we still have laws against murder, right? By Side B's logic, why bother with any law if someone might violate it? The truth, sensible regulations, like requiring background checks for all sales or red flag laws to disarm domestic abusers, do work. They prevent countless tragedies we never hear about. It's not punishing good owners, it's protecting everyone. If anything, law-abiding gun owners should want these measures to help ensure only responsible folks share the range with them.
Nice try spinning correlations into causation. I see a different pattern. High-crime urban areas drive those gun death stats, and they often exist in states with strict gun laws. Looking at you, Illinois. Why? Because criminals get guns from other places or the black market, as you basically admit. You can pass all the laws you want. Bad guys don't care. They will always find a way, leaving honest citizens defenseless in the meantime. The iron pipeline argument just shows the futility of patchwork state laws. It doesn't prove that gun control works. It proves criminals will seek the path of least resistance. And by the way, let's not cherry pick. Plenty of states with high gun ownership have low crime. Hello, Vermont. Culture and socioeconomics play a huge role. Blaming guns alone is overly simplistic. Good people with guns aren't the problem, and taking more of their rights won't magically fix society's deeper issues.
Round 2 and the gloves are off. Statistics versus counter-statistics. This is tighter than a twisty tie. How are the judges seeing it now? Let's talk about rights and the Constitution. The Second Amendment enshrines the right to bear arms, but even Justice Scalia noted it's not unlimited. Side A, are gun control measures an infringement on fundamental rights or a reasonable safeguard?
Reasonable safeguard, 100%. Every right in the Bill of Rights has limits. Free speech. You can't just yell fire in a crowded theater. Likewise, well-regulated is literally in the Second Amendment's text. The founders weren't saying anyone can have any weapon, anytime, no questions asked. Even in the Wild West, some frontier towns required you to check your guns at the sheriff's office. Talk about gun control in the 1800s. Today, we require licenses to drive a car. Is that a tyrannical infringement? No. It's public safety. Same with guns. Courts have upheld many gun regulations as constitutional, from banning felons from owning guns to restricting military-grade hardware. So, don't buy this slippery slope fear that any rule equals total disarmament. We can respect the Second Amendment and save lives. It's not either or, it's a balancing act, one the founders absolutely expected future generations to figure out as weapons evolved.
Yes, the old, well-regulated argument. That phrase refers to militias, not a blank check for government to micromanage everyone's guns. The Supreme Court in Heller confirmed the Second Amendment protects an individual right. And rights don't depend on technology. The First Amendment applies to the internet, even though Jefferson didn't tweet. The founders gave us the Second Amendment precisely as a safeguard against tyranny and to ensure self-defense. Once you start saying, oh, it's okay to infringe a little here, a little there, where does it stop? Banning whole categories of guns, burdensome licensing, maybe outright confiscation down the road. You cite historical gun rules. Sure, some existed, but the American tradition has always valued an armed citizenry. I'll take Scalia's word that outright bans on weapons in common use are off the table. The bottom line, constitutional rights aren't about what's convenient today, they're bedrock, and we chip away at them at our peril.
Constitutional throwdown complete. Original intent versus modern interpretation. This debate just went Hamilton versus Burr, metaphorically, of course. Judges, what's the verdict at the end of this part? All right, let's pit theory against reality with a scenario. An armed intruder breaks into a home. Side B always says a good guy with a gun can save the day. Side A, what do the numbers say? Myth or fact?
Mostly myth, Mike. Look, it's understandable to imagine heroically stopping a criminal, but statistically, it's rare. According to FBI data, out of thousands of shooting incidents, civilian good guys stopping mass shooters are the exception, not the rule. In high-stress situations, even trained police hit their targets only a fraction of the time. Imagine an untrained civilian in a dark hallway with adrenaline pumping. Often, more guns just mean more crossfire. And in households, a gun is far more likely to be used in a suicide, domestic violence, or an accident than against an intruder. Having a firearm can give a false sense of security. Remember, every gun in a home is a risk factor. There's a reason insurance companies pay attention. So while self-defense happens, it's not the panacea gun lobbies portray. Relying on good guys with guns is like counting on winning the lottery to pay your bills. Possible, but not a plan.
Hold on. Just because something's rare doesn't mean it isn't incredibly important. If you're that one homeowner who did stop a rape or a murder because you had a gun, that statistic is 100% for you. There are studies, yes, contested ones, claiming defensive gun uses happen millions of times a year, often without a shot fired, because simply brandishing a weapon can scare off an attacker. Those don't always get reported. The FBI stats you cite are narrow. And sure, not everyone is John Wick under pressure, but a fighting chance is better than none. I'd rather have a tool and not need it than need it and not have it. As for accidents, we can promote safe storage and training. But stripping people of the ability to defend themselves because others might be irresponsible? Sounds like collective punishment. You don't solve misuses of a right by taking away the right, you double down on responsibility. Anecdotes of defense might not impress the statisticians, but each one means a life saved.
Emotion versus probability. This is like watching a casino argue with a vigilante. Judges, how do those scores stack up now? Now, both of you brought up mental health and deeper causes. Side B says it's people problems, not gun problems. Side A, how do you respond to the claim that guns don't kill people, people do?
People with guns kill people. Every country has angry, disturbed individuals, but in no other wealthy nation do they commit mass slaughter so frequently. What's the variable? Easy access to guns that can kill many fast. Sure, mental health care is crucial, no argument there, but it's not an either-or. We have to make it harder for someone in crisis or filled with hate to get an AR-15 and mow down a crowd. Other countries have video games, mental illness, all of it. Yet they don't have weekly mass shootings. And when you look at gun suicides, those are often impulsive acts where the difference between life and death is the availability of a firearm in that dark moment. Saying, just fix mental health is a dodge. We should invest in mental health and keep lethal weapons from those who are a danger to themselves or others. It's common sense. You lock up poisons away from kids, right? Same principle here. Reduce easy access to things that make deadly impulses far too easy to act on.
Mental health isn't a dodge, it's the crux. A gun by itself harms no one until a person pulls the trigger. We've had guns in American homes for centuries, but only in recent decades have these mass shootings spiked. Why? Social fragmentation, untreated mental illness, copycat phenomena fueled by media. Guns have been around, but something changed in people. And, by the way, other countries may have fewer mass shootings, but they've had horrific mass killings by other means. Trucks, bombs, you name it. Evil finds a way. I'm all for keeping guns from truly dangerous individuals. Background checks. Yes, we agree on that. But the proposals often go far beyond that, sweeping up normal folks. Focus on identifying threats. School counselors, community intervention, enforcing existing laws when someone's waving red flags. Don't just wait and then blame the tool they picked. Lock up the guns is a simplistic response to a complex social crisis. It treats a symptom, not the cause.
Both sides want to save lives but can't agree on the method, therapy couch or trigger lock. Judges, any clarity from your corner? Next flashpoint, assault-style weapons. High-capacity rifles like the AR-15 have been used in many high-profile shootings. Side A, would banning these weapons make a difference? Side B, Are those bans just political theater?
Ban them, absolutely. The AR-15's reputation isn't just hype. These rifles can inflict horrific damage quickly. They were designed for battlefields, not school hallways. During the 1994 to 2004 federal assault weapons ban, mass shooting fatalities went down. After Congress let the ban expire, mass shooting deaths surged. That's not coincidence. No civilian needs a 30-round magazine and a semi-automatic rifle to defend their home or hunt deer. These weapons turn tragedies into body counts that shock the world. And yes, a determined killer could use other guns, but why make it easier for them to kill dozens in minutes? Critics say it's just cosmetic features. Tell that to ER doctors treating battlefield wounds in a classroom. Banning assault weapons and high-cap mags won't stop all gun violence, but it will reduce the carnage. It's a preventative measure, like banning certain dangerous chemicals. It just makes sense to take tools of mass murder out of civilian circulation.
Assault weapon bans are a prime example of feel-good policy with little real impact. First off, assault weapon is largely a made-up political term. An AR-15 functions like any semi-automatic hunting rifle. It just looks scarier to the uninitiated. During that 1994 ban, we didn't see a clear drop in overall violence. Handguns, which were still legal, do most of the killing. And guess what happened when the ban ended? Gun homicide rates kept trending down overall until the mid-2010s, unrelated to the law. You're cherry-picking mass shooting stats because they spiked later for various reasons. Banning AR-15s is like banning red cars because you don't like sports cars. Meanwhile, everyone just drives blue ones instead. Criminals will just use other guns. And law-abiding folks who enjoy sports shooting or feel safer with a rifle at home get branded as potential threats. It's collective punishment again. Instead of arbitrary bans, how about focusing on people who misuse guns? Enforce penalties for gun crimes? Improve background checks for all gun sales? I can agree there. But don't pretend banning a particular rifle will magically end mass shootings. It won't.
This volley was like a bombshell arms debate in itself. One side says, eliminate the tool. The other says, fix the wielder. Where do the judges land on this one? There's a saying, an armed society is a polite society. Does more firepower keep us safer? Side A, do more guns equal more safety, or just more danger?
More danger, no question. Study after study shows that places with more guns have more gun deaths. It's that simple. When almost anyone can carry a gun, every argument or road rage incident can turn into a deadly encounter. And think about accidents. More guns around means more chances for something to go wrong. Kids finding a pistol in mom's purse, a gun misfiring in a crowd. If guns truly made us polite, America would be a conflict-free utopia right now. Spoiler, we're not. Instead, we have a society on edge, where everyone's a bit more fearful because any person next to you could be armed. That's not my idea of polite. It's a powder keg.
Interestingly, as gun ownership has risen, violent crime in America actually fell dramatically from the 1990s through about 2014. That's not proof of causation, but it busts the myth that more guns automatically mean more crime. An armed society can deter bad actors. If a criminal thinks a potential victim could shoot back, that's a pause for them. Also, millions of us carry firearms daily without turning streets into the Wild West. We respect each other precisely because of that deterrence factor. Are there risks? Sure, and that's why we promote gun safety training and responsible carry. But I'd argue an armed society is alert and prepared, not a hair-trigger disaster. The real powder keg is disarming good people and leaving only criminals armed. Then the polite society goes out the window.
We've got dueling visions of society. Powder keg versus peacemaker. Now, let's dig into trust and slippery slopes. Side B fears any gun law leads to total disarmament. Side A, how do you convince people that common sense laws won't snowball?
Transparency and moderation. We're not coming for every hunting rifle or grandma's revolver. We're talking about measures like universal background checks that 80 to 90% of Americans support. Pass those, see the benefits, build trust. Also, many gun control advocates explicitly respect the Second Amendment. They just believe it allows regulation. It's about drawing lines. Like requiring a license to drive doesn't mean the government will confiscate cars. If we involve gun owners in crafting laws and make regulations very targeted, say focusing on high-risk individuals or the most dangerous weapons, we can avoid the slippery slope. Trust goes both ways. The public needs to trust the government, and the government needs to show it's not aiming to wipe out lawful gun ownership. Good faith actions can reassure that the goal is safety, not prohibition.
Pardon my skepticism, but we've heard no one's coming for your guns right before proposals that indeed come for our guns. Trusting the government on this is tough when some politicians openly say they'd ban all guns if they could. Slippery slope isn't a fallacy here. It's a historical pattern in some countries. Maybe background checks are broadly supported, but then come calls for registries, then bans on certain models, and so on. And once rights are legislated away, it's near impossible to get them back. You want us to trust? Then why do gun control laws almost always get stricter and never sunset? It feels like boiling the frog. If safety is the goal, fine. Focus on criminals and mental health like we keep saying. But don't dangle common sense as a sweetener when the long-term plan, for some activists at least, seems to be much broader disarmament. Until we see proof that it stops at truly reasonable measures, that trust just isn't there.
So, trust is thinner than a sheet of paper on this issue. Now onto the political arena. Side A. Is the gun lobby blocking progress the people want? Side B. Or is the country genuinely split down the middle?
Public opinion actually favors many gun reforms, but the gun lobby, led by organizations like the NRA, has outsized influence. They pour money and pressure into elections, scaring politicians away from even the mildest laws. The result? Gridlock, even on policies most Americans agree on. It's frustrating when a small but vocal faction holds common sense laws hostage, and they use fear-mongering. "They're coming for your guns" has been a fundraising slogan for decades, even as we still have more guns than ever. Meanwhile, after each mass shooting, the needle barely moves in Congress despite public outcry. This suggests the bottleneck isn't the public, it's special interests and politicians in their pocket. If the NRA stepped out of the way, or if leaders grew a backbone, we'd likely see background checks and other popular measures enacted tomorrow.
Let's give the public some credit. Americans have a genuine ideological divide on guns. It's not all big bad NRA brainwashing everyone. Millions of gun owners truly believe in their right and pass that on to their representatives. Sure, gun rights groups lobby hard, but guess what? Gun control groups have big money and lobbyists too. Hello, Bloomberg. Politicians respond to voters, and in many districts, those voters strongly oppose gun control. So democracy is working, uncomfortable as that is. And about those surveys, ask, do you want stricter gun laws? And folks say yes abstractly, but ask specifics like ban handguns and support plummets. The NRA's power comes from its membership, regular citizens who vote. It's not some puppet master, it's an amplifier of real voices. The stalemate in Congress reflects true division among Americans. Change will come when minds are changed, not just when lobbyists stand down.
A power struggle between grassroots and gun lobby, or maybe they're one and the same. Either way, scoreboard time. Where do we stand? Let's put a human face on this. Side B, imagine looking into the eyes of a parent who just lost their child in a school shooting. They ask you, why can't we sacrifice a bit of gun freedom to stop this horror? What do you tell them?
I'd say I'm heartbroken for their loss, truly. I want to stop this horror too, but giving up rights might not stop the next killer. The evil that took their child is about the person, not just the tool. I'm fighting for other solutions, better security, early interventions, so no parent faces this again. If we erase freedoms out of fear, we risk unraveling other protections that keep us safe in the long run. It's cruel. We could trade away a right and still not prevent the next tragedy. I genuinely believe there are smarter ways to protect kids than disarming responsible citizens.
I have to jump in. Telling grieving parents to have faith in other solutions feels so hollow when bullets keep killing kids. No other country faces this school massacre nightmare. The difference is the guns. Side B's answer basically boils down to, sorry for your loss, but hands off my guns. Not good enough. If saving children isn't worth even modest curbs on gun access, what on earth is? Those parents don't want our sympathy. They want action. Side B talks about freedom. What about the freedom of those kids to make it home alive? Thoughts and prayers haven't stopped the carnage. Courageous legislation might. I'd tell that parent I fight for gun control because no mother or father should ever have to endure their nightmare.
That round turned the debate into a gut punch. Judges, score it. Now flip the script. Side A, picture a single mother in a dangerous neighborhood who used a handgun to scare off a home invader. She asks, "Why do you want to make it harder for people like me to protect my family?" Your reply?
I'd tell her, I don't want to make it harder for you to be safe. I want to make it harder for the bad guys. If you're a law-abiding, stable gun owner, I'm not trying to take your gun. I'm pushing for measures like thorough background checks and training to ensure only responsible people have firearms. That way, you keep your protection, while criminals and abusers find it tougher to get theirs. It's about more safety for good folks, not less. Your story shows why self-defense is important. But imagine a world where you wouldn't need a gun at all to feel safe. That's the world I'm aiming for all of us.
If I were that mom, I'd be worried. Only responsible people get guns often becomes a maze of red tape that ends up disarming the vulnerable. Maybe she could afford training and permits, but what about a single mom working 2 jobs? She can't waste time or money on a bureaucratic process while danger is present. Gun control rules often burden the very people who most need protection. And the idea that fewer guns mean more safety? Tell that to this mother who might not be here without her firearm. In that moment, she doesn't care about statistics. She cares that she and her kids are alive. People like her deserve the right to choose self-defense without jumping through government hoops.
Powerful personal pleas from both sides, and neither is blinking. Judges, how does the scoreboard look now? Quick reality check. Both of you do want to save lives at the end of the day, right?
We both want to save lives. On that, absolutely yes.
Agreed. We both care about safety. We just disagree on how to achieve it. That's something, at least.
A rare moment of agreement. Cherish it, folks. But a single handshake doesn't settle this shootout. The final showdown is coming up. Which side will AI crown the winner? Stay tuned. Final question. In one powerful closing statement, why is your side right?
Our country has paid for inaction with innocent blood. I stand for change so we don't keep reliving the same nightmare. Regulating guns isn't about gutting the Second Amendment. It's about upholding our most sacred right, the right to life. We've tried thoughts and prayers. It's time to try policies and prevention. America deserves the freedom to live without fear of the next shooting.
I defend the Second Amendment because I trust free, responsible people over one-size-fits-all laws. My stance isn't do nothing, it's to fix the real problems without destroying fundamental rights. Safety achieved by force isn't real freedom, and it won't last. I believe an armed, educated citizenry can deter tyranny and crime. In the end, preserving liberty is the surest way to protect all our other values, including life.
Both sides have spoken their final piece. The AI judges have tallied everything, and the final scores are in. In the end, the AI judges gave the win to side A by a hair, underscoring just how razor-thin this issue is. Some questions have no easy answers, but one thing's certain, the debate isn't over. Now it's your turn to decide where you stand. Did this debate shift your perspective? Let us know in the comments, and don't go anywhere. Our next video pits AIs against each other on another headline-ripping issue. Subscribe now so you won't miss that showdown.